Hey guys, what's up? So, kind of dropped the ball on this one. I have a pronghorn skull I've been working on that I just kind of finished up yesterday. Cleaning wise, I haven't actually got it completely finished, but this is what I've got so far. Obviously, the sheaths go over the actual horns themselves here. That's kind of a cool little interesting thing about pronghorns. Is the sheaths are what get shed off every year, not just the horn obviously is there permanently and the sheaths grow over those. So that's what that kind of looks like. Got it all cleaned up yesterday, simmered it out, not boiled, because there's people out there like, oh, you can't boil stuff, you'll ruin it. So I simmer it, don't worry. But that's kind of the clean product out of the pot, what it looks like. It's a little dirty on that side just from it was found dead, so it was a little rotted and stuff. But once we put the whitener on it and stuff, it'll clean up real nice. I've got the sheaths here, so I'll go ahead and slide those on. These will end up getting just glued on when I'm done. So it'll kind of be a finished product like that. This one obviously has got a little bit of wear and tear on it on the top. On the tip of this one, looks like something chewed it off, or chewed on it a little bit, and on that one too. But kind of a cool project. It's the first pronghorn I've ever had to do. So it's kind of neat just getting the opportunity to do one of these. But yeah, I didn't really go over the cleaning process with that or anything, but I did it like I do any of the deer skulls. I simmer it in a turkey fryer pot essentially for a while, lots of Dawn dish soap, and then pull it out, spray stuff off with a hose with a little nozzle sprayer, and lots of scraping and picking and getting everything cleaned off. I don't have a pressure washer at this time that I use or anything like that. It'd be nice to get kind of a lower pressure one to do some of that just to make it quicker. But I have dental picks and like Hobby Lobby or a craft store, they sell these like scraping, carving wood tools that I use, and they work really well for scraping stuff off the skull. So I use those a lot too. Get stuff off really well actually. Takes a little bit longer obviously, but then I don't ruin as much of the bone and structure of the skulls and stuff like that. So that's what I like using on the skulls in general when I clean them up. So I will do a video of the whitening process with this antelope or pronghorn, whatever you want to call them. So I'll have more of that in this video later on, showing how I make my mixture for whitening, applying it, wait time, dry time, rinsing and repeating until the skull's white enough and how you like it. And then I'll kind of show how I glue them on. This is the first one I've ever done, but I'm still going to use probably that E6000 glue that I use for feathering skulls as well, and bone repair as well. It seems to work really well. It's waterproof. It's kind of a sealant as well once it's dried. So a lot of guys use like a putty mixture, hardener or something like that. I can't remember exactly the right wording for it, but that's what a lot of guys use on those sheaths. And they just lather it up on the inside and on the outside of the actual horn, and then they slide it on there, and it hardens and holds them on really well. But honestly, you could do this skull and not even glue those on if you really didn't want to. It's just in case you are ever worried about them coming off or falling off. It's just a good way to make sure they actually stay put. Otherwise you could hang this on the wall just like it is without having to actually glue those on. But it's kind of personal preference. I'll personally glue those ones just so they don't slide on and off and stuff like that. So but that's all I've got for you for right now, just kind of introducing that. And yeah, excited to get it all whitened up and cleaned up and finished up for you guys. So stay tuned, and we'll go over the whitening process next and gluing the sheaths on and doing the clear coat and everything else. All right, so we're gonna go over what I use for the whitening process and everything here. So I'll just kind of quick go over the supplies I use. So obviously you need your skull. Ta-da! So we got that. There's a lot of different stuff out there people use between bleach, peroxide, all kinds of whitener products. This one's pretty popular as well. This is what I use. This is Salon Care 40 volume cream. That's just the stabilizer formula. I usually just buy it in a big gallon, so I have a lot of it. Lasts a little bit longer. And then I use what's called Basic White. It's this stuff here. It's just Clairol Professional Basic White Extra Strength. It's a powder lightener. So I make this mixture with the cream into a nice little red Solo cup. It just works well. It's about the perfect size. Usually, depending on how big your skull is or how many times you're wanting to put it on, you can still cover this up after you mix it and reuse it, just stir it up again. But usually I'll fill it up, you know, if it's a small game skull, you can probably fill it up at this bottom line or in between and it's fine. Deer skulls or like antelope, probably halfway up I'll do, just because I know I'll use a few coats of this stuff on it. So red solid cups are nice. You can rinse them out and throw them away when you're done, or rinse them out and save them. I've saved them and used them again before. Little brush, doesn't really matter what kind of brush you got. This one I rinse out and reuse all the time. I like the smaller ones just because I can get in the crevices and small spots a little bit better, because you'll just end up pretty much painting this stuff on your skulls. I just buy these little cheap craft sticks, or you can use whatever you want for stirring the powder and the cream together. So it's a nice thick texture. You want it kind of like a milkshake thickness. So it just goes on nice, but it's not too runny or anything. Some good old saran wrap. I know it's in a tinfoil thing, but my cutter on my saran wrap box doesn't really work, so I switched them out. Saran wrap is good, and then I just have like a little painter's tray with the plastic liners in it. That way you can rinse these out real easy, or throw them away if you need to, whatever. And I'll usually lay out the saran wrap in that pan, set the skull on it, and then do all of my whitening product on there. That way if it gets on the tray, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I can rinse it off later. And then also, it doesn't hurt to have some gloves. I'd highly recommend wearing gloves for this, just because this is a bleach product. You don't really want that on your skin all that bad, or anything else you don't want to get it on. So if you're wearing clothes you don't want to get stuff on, be very careful, especially using a brush. A lot of times a brush will flick stuff around, so just be careful while you're putting it on so you're not getting real wild with it. But that's the basics of what I use for doing that. So once you mix that together, like I said, I'll fill the cup with the liquid cream first. I'll probably fill it up, so for the antelope or a deer, I'll probably fill the liquid up to about here on the cup, and then I'll put a scoop of that white powder in there. You can do a scoop, 2 scoops, it's up to you. Scoop it a half. Everybody does it a little bit different, but you don't need a huge amount, just a little bit in there is fine. Like I said, then you'll stir it up, and just be careful stirring it up, because that powder will kind of poof out of the cup a little bit. So just kind of do it slow at first, work it in, scrape around the edges and stuff, get it nice and thick, kind of like a milkshake thickness is what you want. And then once you've got that to the right consistency, then you can take that brush, start painting it on your skull, getting it in your skull, all the crevices. A lot of guys will just pour it down into the brain or down through the nose cavity and stuff like that, which is fine. But I like to paint it on, usually just because I can get a better even spread with it. And I don't use so much product wastefully on the skull by just pouring it in. But yeah, I'll lay that saran wrap out in that tray first. You want a pretty good length, so that way you can take that saran wrap and fold it over all of the skull when you're done to cover it up, because it's, what you need to do with this is you gotta cover it up. That way the bleach stuff doesn't just dry out right away, because this stuff will just dry out and get flaky. If you cover it up with saran wrap or put it in a big huge Ziploc bag or something to keep it kind of airtight, keep that product on it and let it do its chemical reaction a lot longer, it'll be better. It'll whiten better, and you'll just get a better overall product in the end. So I'll usually wrap it all up with just the one sheet, and then anything else that's exposed, I'll pull off some additional sheets, cover up whatever else is exposed or not covered at all. And then once it's all covered, you just kind of push it all down again, so you can leave it loose too, but I do that just to make sure I get as much of the air gaps out of everything as I can. And then you want to leave it sit anywhere from, I don't know, guys say 4 to 8 hours, so I usually go 6 to 8. Usually I can do this, put 2 coats on a day essentially. I'll put one on in the morning, rinse it off in the evening, let it dry. So I usually put a fan on it right away after I rinse it, just so it dries faster once it's dry. Reapply a coat, saran wrap it all up again, do the whole process again, leave it sit overnight essentially, rinse it off in the morning. And if you don't like how white it is, do it again. And usually on skulls, I mean, this one might take a little extra with this side being a little not so whitened compared to like this side. But if you have a pretty fresh skull from one like someone shot and you got it the next day or something, you probably only need to do 1 or 2 coats and it'll be pretty white. So
but it's up to you or the customer, whoever likes it, whatever consistency of color. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and get some stuff mixed up and set up, and I'll kind of just do a little time-lapse video of putting some whitener on.
Hey guys, how's it going? So I got the pronghorn all whitened. That process is finished now. So I'm just gonna kind of show you guys what that looks like here, the final product. This is kind of it. Try and get a little bit closer here. So this is all whitened up, ready for the clear coat. Put a couple coats of clear coat on it, just a matte finish is what we're gonna do. Obviously you can do semi-gloss, gloss, whatever you wanna do. So that's kind of what it looks like now. Got a little leaf or something stuck on there. But turned out pretty good. Got it pretty clean, even for having, this side was pretty rotted, gross on that side, so it whitened up pretty nicely. But that's what it looks like after the whitening. So do some coats of clear coat on this and the sheaths, and then we'll go ahead and get them glued back together, and we'll show you the final product once it's all finished.